In the silent depths of the universe, where the soul's journey is etched into the eternal fabric of the Akashic records, there lie secrets so profound they have been concealed from most until now. The hidden messages, the forbidden letters of Edgar Cayce, reveal a chilling truth: the fate of souls burdened by unforgiveness and karmic entanglements. As we peer into these secret revelations, we are confronted with the stark reality that unresolved resentment can imprison the spirit, stalling its ascent toward divine harmony and the Christ consciousness. Yet, within these shadows lies the key to redemption, a sacred invitation to confront the darkness. Within, unlock ancient wisdom and embrace the transformative power of forgiveness. For in understanding what has been concealed, we may finally awaken to the true purpose of our reincarnation and align ourselves with the divine plan written across the cosmos. In the quiet sanctity of the ages, the universe whispers its most profound secrets through the silent corridors of the Akashic records. As an archaeologist of spiritual mysteries, I have traversed these timeless archives, seeking the ancient truths that reveal the divine blueprint of the soul's eternal journey. The readings unfold like cosmic scrolls, inscribed with the echoes of countless lifetimes, each a chapter in the divine story of growth, redemption, and eventual reunification with the Source. The previous revelations have exposed the shadowed corridors of unresolved karma and the imprisoning weight of unforgiveness. We have seen how these invisible chains can distort the soul's trajectory, anchoring it in cycles of pain and resentment. Yet, within these shadows, the records also hold the sacred keys, the knowledge of forgiveness as the vital bridge between the human and the divine. Now, we venture deeper into these hidden chambers, seeking to understand the true nature of the Akashic records and their role in guiding the soul. Through its multidimensional voyage across lifetimes, Nos registros akashicos está escrito o mapa cósmico de cada alma que transita pelas diferentes dimensões da existência. Here, every thought, deed, and intention is etched in radiant light, awaiting the seeker's recognition. These records do not merely store past actions, they are living repositories of consciousness, revealing the intricate weave of karma and the lessons that the soul must confront. It is through the understanding of these ancient recordings that the soul begins to comprehend its divine purpose and the importance of forgiveness in restoring harmony. The teachings reveal that each incarnation is a deliberate step in the soul's evolution, designed to resolve unresolved conflicts and to balance the cosmic scales. The soul, in its infinite wisdom, chooses lessons that will elevate its consciousness and draw it closer to the divine unity. Yet the journey is fraught with challenges, unforgiven wounds, lingering resentments, and karmic debts that threaten to stifle spiritual growth. These unresolved issues are stored within the Akashic scrolls, awaiting acknowledgement and healing. The importance of forgiveness emerges as central to this cosmic blueprint. As the readings reveal, forgiveness is not merely an act of mercy extended to others. It is a sacred act of self-liberation, a divine key that unlocks the chains of past pain. When the soul embraces forgiveness, both for oneself and others, it initiates a profound alchemical process. The karmic burdens that weigh heavily are transmuted into light, allowing the soul to ascend beyond the cycles of rebirth and to align more fully with the Christ consciousness, the divine spark within all creation. Nos registros, o perdão é apresentado como uma ponte que conecta as experiências humanas à divindade. It is through forgiveness that the soul clears the path for divine grace to flow freely, restoring balance and harmony. The records speak of souls who have traversed multiple lifetimes, burdened by unresolved anger, bitterness, or guilt, and how their spiritual progress was hindered by these unresolved emotions. Conversely, those who have embraced forgiveness, even in the face of profound pain, have unlocked the door to spiritual liberation and ascension. The divine blueprint emphasizes that forgiveness is a conscious act of aligning oneself with the universal principles of love and compassion. It is an acknowledgement that all souls are interconnected, part of the divine tapestry woven with threads of light and shadow. To forgive is to recognize the divine spark within every being, regardless of their actions or misdeeds. This recognition awakens the soul's innate power to heal wounds, dissolve karmic debts, and elevate its vibrational state. The The records reveal that in every lifetime, the soul is given opportunities, divine invitations to practice forgiveness and to reconcile with its past. Sometimes this reconciliation requires confronting the hidden truths buried deep within the subconscious, acknowledging pain that has been suppressed or denied. As the soul unlocks these secrets through inner reflection and spiritual work, it begins to release the heavy burdens of resentment, paving the way for renewal and spiritual rebirth. Furthermore, the teachings highlight that the process of forgiveness is not a one-time event, but a continuous journey, an ongoing practice that deepens as the soul ascends in consciousness. It is through persistent effort, humility, and compassion that the soul can fully embrace the divine plan. Nos registros. Está escrito que o perdão é uma das mais poderosas ferramentas na jornada evolutiva da alma, pois ela abre o portal para a consciência crística, a vibração de amor universal que reside dentro de cada ser. Como afirmam as leituras, a alma busca o equilíbrio e o perdão é o caminho para essa harmonia. Ao liberar ressentimentos passados, a alma se liberta das correntes do karma negativo, permitindo que a luz do Cristo flua através dela, iluminando seu caminho de volta ao lar divino. Cada ato de perdão, por menor que pareça, é uma semente plantada na eternidade, germinando em uma colheita de paz, entendimento e amor incondicional. No silêncio das profundezas do universo, fica claro que os segredos mais ocultos das leituras revelam que a verdadeira jornada da alma é uma história de redenção, uma história escrita com o sangue do amor e a esperança da transformação. As almas que carregam feridas de mágoa, que não perdoaram, permanecem em um estado de estagnação espiritual, impedidas de avançar para o próximo nível de consciência. Mas para aquelas que escolhem a coragem de perdoar, há uma porta aberta para a liberdade eterna. Assim, a mensagem que as leituras revelam é clara. A alma busca o equilíbrio, e o perdão é a ponte que nos leva de volta à essência divina. O universo conspira para que cada alma reconheça a importância de liberar o passado, de abraçar a misericórdia e de alinhar-se com a consciência crística. Somente assim, no percurso da reencarnação, a verdadeira libertação será possível. Um retorno ao lar, à luz, ao amor eterno que nos sustenta desde o princípio dos tempos. In this sacred dance of divine justice and mercy, the records guide us to remember that forgiveness is the highest form of spiritual alchemy. It transforms pain into compassion, resentment into love, and the mortal into the divine. And as we unlock these secrets hidden in the depths of the Akashic records, we come to understand that the ultimate purpose of our soul's journey is to awaken to the divine within and to walk the path of unconditional love, forever guided by the eternal light of the Christ consciousness. In the silent depths of the Akashic records, where the eternal tapestry of all souls is woven with threads of light and shadow, there lie mysteries often veiled from the consciousness of many. These are the forbidden letters, messages concealed, suppressed, yet inherently vital to understanding the true nature of our spiritual evolution. As an archaeologist of the divine, I have uncovered remnants of these sacred writings, remnants that speak directly to the souls burdened by unforgiveness, and entangled in karmic webs they cannot escape through mere surface understanding. The teachings from the higher realms reveal that forgiveness is not merely a moral ideal, but a cosmic necessity. The records disclose that when a soul enters the cycle of incarnation, it carries with it the echoes of past pains, regrets, and unresolved grievances. These reverberations form the karmic entanglements that bind the soul to its previous actions and unresolved conflicts. Yet, the true nature of these entanglements is often misunderstood. They are not punishments, but opportunities for divine growth, lessons woven into the fabric of our soul's journey. Within these forbidden letters, which I have found inscribed in the earliest echoes of the records, there are messages addressed explicitly to those souls who remain prisoners of unforgiveness. They speak of a divine truth that is often obscured by the veils of forgetfulness, the soul's quest for reunion with its divine origin. The Christ consciousness cannot be realized fully while it clings to the wounds of resentment and anger. These letters reveal that the act of forgiveness is the sacred bridge that leads us back to the source, dissolving the karmic barriers that obscure our divine light. The records reveal that many of these messages were deliberately suppressed, buried beneath layers of tradition, dogma, and fear. They contain profound insights into the nature of the soul's burden, that unforgiveness is a dense, dark energy that distorts the very fabric of our being, creating a false identity rooted in pain and separation. Such energies, when left unaddressed, deepen karmic entanglements, anchoring the soul in cycles of suffering. Yet embedded within these forbidden messages is the promise of liberation. No soul is beyond redemption, no burden so heavy that divine mercy cannot lift it. In the depths of these writings, the divine counsel speaks directly to the heart of those who harbor grudges, who see themselves as victims of injustice and who have forgotten their divine origin. It is written that the soul's journey is ultimately a return to love, an unconditional, all-encompassing love that mirrors the consciousness of Christ. The records emphasize that forgiveness is not a mere act, it is a state of divine alignment, a conscious surrender to the divine flow that heals all wounds. Through forgiveness, the soul reclaims its power, shedding the dense energies of karma and stepping into the light of higher understanding. The forbidden messages also unveil that the suppression of these teachings was orchestrated by forces seeking to keep humanity in spiritual ignorance. By concealing the truth about forgiveness and karmic release, humanity remained trapped in cycles of blame and victimhood. This, in turn, delayed the awakening of the Christ consciousness within the collective consciousness of Earth. Yet in these hidden writings there lies a call to awakening, the realization that the divine within each soul is inherently forgiving, inherently loving, and that the path to liberation begins within the sacred act of self-forgiveness and extending that forgiveness outward. Furthermore, the records reveal that the souls burdened by unforgiveness carry with them a residue of past lives' pain, often unaware of how their current choices perpetuate the cycle. These karmic ties, woven in ancient Atlantean times and earlier epochs, serve as lessons that echo through time, demanding acknowledgement and healing. The forbidden letters intimate that to truly understand these entanglements one must access the records themselves, to read the codes embedded in the soul's history, to unlock the patterns that keep the soul bound. In these messages, the divine counsel instructs that healing comes through conscious remembrance and compassionate acknowledgement of one's shadow. The soul must come to see its wounds not as permanent scars but as opportunities for divine transformation. As the records reveal, forgiveness is an alchemical process, transmuting pain into compassion, darkness into light. When the soul finally embraces this truth, it aligns with the divine plan, dissolving karmic debts and awakening to its true nature, love pure and eternal. The suppressed messages also warn of the peril of denying these truths. When a soul refuses to confront its karma, when it suppresses the pain and refuses to forgive, it creates energetic blockages that distort the flow of divine energy within. These blockages manifest as disease, mental turmoil, and spiritual stagnation. All reminders that the soul is seeking balance, seeking to remember its divine origins. Yet the records assure us that no soul remains forever lost in unforgiveness. The divine mercy is infinite, and the divine love that created us is patient beyond measure. The forbidden letters serve as a sacred reminder that forgiveness is the key to breaking free from the chains of karma and ascending into higher states of consciousness. They reveal that the journey toward forgiveness is the journey toward self-realization, toward embodying the Christ consciousness that dwells within all. In closing, these hidden messages, the forbidden letters, are a sacred testament to the divine truth that forgiveness is the divine bridge back to unity with all creation. They whisper that the soul's liberation is not found in avoidance or denial, but through courageous acknowledgement and compassionate release. As the records reveal, the soul's true destiny is to embody love unconditioned, to recognize the divine within every heart, and to move beyond the illusions of separation. Only then can the soul truly know itself as eternal, as one with the source, and as the divine love that guides all of creation. Let these revelations serve as a guiding light for those who seek to unearth their own forbidden truths, to confront their karmic burdens, and to step into the divine grace that awaits beyond the veils of unforgiveness. For in doing so, the soul awakens to its highest purpose, to embody the Christ consciousness, and to become a radiant beacon of divine love across the vast eternal tapestry of the universe. In the silent depths of the Akashic records, where the soul's essence is inscribed in the eternal fabric of existence, the revelations unfold with a solemn grace. As we continue our sacred journey through the veiled truths of Edgar Cayce's visions, we confront a fundamental principle woven into the very tapestry of the soul's evolution, the intricate dance of reincarnation and karma. These divine laws serve as both the compass and the mirror, guiding us yet revealing where wounds remain unhealed, where resentments have taken root, and where the soul's ascent is hindered by the chains of unresolved grievances. The recordings reveal that the soul's journey is not a linear progression but a spiral of countless lifetimes, each a sacred chapter in the unfolding of divine consciousness. In these visions, Cayce often saw the soul revisiting its lessons across different eras and realms, carrying with it the residue of past actions and emotional imprints. These memories, hidden within the depths of the subconscious, shape present circumstances and spiritual potential. It is through this lens that we begin to understand how unresolved resentment, born from perceived injustice or unhealed wounds, becomes a heavy burden, an obstacle that impedes the soul's ability to move forward freely. The divine wisdom within the records affirms that karma is not merely punishment or reward, but a sacred balancing act. It is the universe's method of restoring harmony in the soul's evolution. When the soul commits acts driven by ego, fear, or hatred, when it harbors resentment or refuses forgiveness, the karmic debts accumulate, often unseen yet profoundly felt. These debts are not external punishments, but internal imbalances that manifest as suffering, discord, and stagnation. Cayce's visions reveal instances where souls, chained by their inability to forgive, remain entangled in cycles of pain, repeating lessons until they awaken to the truth of divine mercy and release. In one of his profound readings, Cayce saw a soul trapped in a cycle of resentment from a past life, a life marked by betrayal and bitterness. This unresolved feeling festered like a dark cloud, casting shadows over subsequent incarnations. The soul, in its ignorance, believed itself justified in harboring these grievances, but the records reveal that forgiveness is the sacred key to unlocking the chain of karma. Without it, the soul remains anchored in the past, unable to ascend to higher states of consciousness. The spiritual law of reincarnation teaches us that the soul's purpose is to achieve spiritual maturity, to realize its divine origin and embody the Christ consciousness. Yet the journey is often marred by unhealed wounds and unforgiven offenses. Cayce's visions of past lives serve as a mirror, showing souls how their present circumstances are reflections of unresolved karma from previous incarnations. These lessons, though painful, carry the seed of awakening. The soul must recognize its part in the web of cause and effect, understanding that each act, each thought, and each feeling leaves an imprint upon the records. The records also reveal that the lack of forgiveness, whether directed outward or inward, creates a barrier to the soul's evolution. When resentment festers, the soul's vibrational frequency is lowered, obscuring the divine light within. It is as if the soul is encased in a shell of emotional toxicity, preventing it from accessing the higher realms of consciousness. Cayce's visions show that these unresolved emotional debts act as karmic weights, demanding release before the soul can fully progress on its spiritual journey. Furthermore, Cayce's insights illuminate the importance of understanding that forgiveness is not merely an act of condoning or forgetting, but a conscious choice to release the burden of resentment, to acknowledge the divine in all beings, including oneself. The records emphasize that true forgiveness is rooted in compassion, recognizing that every soul is on its own path of evolution, often acting from ignorance or pain, and that each act of forgiveness heals not only the wounded other, but also the wounded self. The soul's quest for balance and harmony is an ongoing process of shedding these karmic residues. Cayce's visions depict souls who in their past lives neglected the path of forgiveness and as a result carried unresolved karma into subsequent lives, manifesting as physical ailments, emotional turmoil, or life circumstances that seem harsh or unjust. These manifestations serve as divine reminders that the soul has yet to reconcile its past and step into the light of divine mercy. In the depths of the Akashic records, it is written that the soul seeks to recognize its divine nature, a fragment of the Creator, imbued with unconditional love and forgiveness. When the soul awakens to this truth, it begins to see its past errors not as condemnations but as opportunities for growth. Cayce's visions reveal that the divine law of retribution is not punitive but corrective, guiding the soul toward healing through the act of forgiving itself and others. This act clears the karmic debt and opens the pathway to higher states of consciousness, including the realization of its inherent Christ consciousness. The journey, therefore, is one of divine remembrance, awakening to the truth that resentment and lack of forgiveness are illusions of separation. The records show that by embracing compassion, understanding the divine purpose behind each soul's journey, and willingly releasing grievances, the soul begins to dissolve the karmic chains that bind it. The soul's evolution accelerates as it aligns with the divine law of love, embodying the Christ consciousness, the universal state of divine mercy and unconditional forgiveness. In closing, the visions of Cayce's reading serve as a sacred reminder. The soul's ultimate aim is to transcend the cycle of karma through forgiveness, to harmonize its past with its divine present, and to embody the infinite mercy of the Creator. The unresolved resentment and lack of forgiveness are like shadows cast over the soul's light, preventing the full expression of its divine potential. Yet through conscious effort, compassion and divine grace, the soul can rewrite its story in the Akashic records, moving ever closer to its divine origin, united, healed, and free in the eternal embrace of love. In the silent corridors of the Akashic records, the echoes of past lives reverberate, whispering truths about the intricate dance of the soul's evolution. As we continue our sacred journey through these divine archives, we must confront the profound consequences that await those souls who choose the path of unforgiveness, who cling to resentment and refuse the divine gift of mercy. The revelations from the ancient wisdom as revealed in the readings show that the soul's refusal to forgive is not merely a moral failing, but a spiritual impediment of cosmic proportions. It is a state that stalls the soul's ascent, anchoring it firmly within the cycle of rebirth and severing its connection from the Christ consciousness. Within the depths of the records, it is written that forgiveness is the key to liberation, the sacred portal through which the soul transcends its karmic burdens. When a soul refuses to release the pain, to forgive the perceived wrongs committed upon it, it creates a dense web of unresolved karma, a tangled net that ensnares the spirit in an unending cycle of reincarnation. This stagnation is not a punishment, but a natural consequence rooted in the law of cause and effect, the divine principle of karma. It is as if the soul, by refusing to forgive, chooses to remain tethered to the lower vibrations of resentment, bitterness, and anger, which serve as barriers to the higher realms of consciousness. The readings reveal that, in this state of spiritual stagnation, the soul becomes increasingly detached from the Christ consciousness, a divine awareness of love, compassion, and unity with all creation. The Christ consciousness is the divine light that illuminates the path to divine harmony. It is the state of the soul that recognizes its unity with the Father, that embodies forgiveness as a sacred act. When the soul refuses this divine act, it not only prolongs its suffering, but also diminishes its light, dimming the divine spark that seeks to ignite the higher consciousness. This detachment from Christ consciousness manifests in various ways. The soul may find itself perpetually cycling through similar lessons, repeating the same patterns of blame and resentment, unable to break free from the chains of past wounds. The records reveal that such souls often feel a sense of emptiness, a longing for fulfillment that remains elusive, for they are disconnected from the divine love that sustains all life. As Cayce's readings intimate, this state of unforgiveness acts like a heavy shroud, dulling the divine sight and obstructing the soul's journey toward enlightenment. Moreover, the spiritual repercussions extend beyond the individual. Souls who refuse forgiveness often carry the weight of collective karma, influencing not only their own future incarnations, but also impacting the collective consciousness of humanity. The records emphasize that the energy of resentment and unforgiveness can ripple through generations, creating barriers to spiritual progress for entire communities and civilizations. It is a sobering reminder that our personal choices in forgiveness or unforgiveness have far-reaching implications, echoing through the fabric of time and space. In the sacred writings of the records, it is also revealed that souls who cling to unforgiveness may find themselves in a state of spiritual limbo, a place where growth is stunted and evolution is temporarily halted. For these souls, the rebirth cycle becomes a repetitive dance of earthly limitations, emotional wounds, and unfulfilled spiritual potential. They are caught in a loop, unable to ascend to higher dimensions of consciousness, unable to fully embody the divine light that beckons from realms beyond. Yet within this revelation lies a profound truth: the divine mercy is infinite. The records declare that no soul is permanently condemned, for the universe is governed by love and forgiveness. The opportunity for redemption remains always present. It is never too late to choose compassion, to open the heart and release the burdens of resentment. The soul's true nature, as revealed through Cayce's visions, is rooted in the Christ principle, an innate capacity for forgiveness and love that can be reignited through divine grace. Understanding these spiritual repercussions should stir within us a deep sense of responsibility and humility. It reminds us that our journey is not solely about accumulating knowledge, but about embodying the divine virtues that elevate the soul to its highest potential. To refuse forgiveness is to deny oneself the divine light, to stay imprisoned in the shadows of unresolved karma. As we contemplate the divine law of healing and transformation, let us remember that the path to liberation begins within the heart. The soul must confront the shadows of resentment and choose the divine act of forgiveness, not merely as an external gesture, but as a sacred inward transformation. Only then can the soul begin to shed the chains of karmic stagnation and align once more with the Christ consciousness, a state of divine unity, divine love, and divine purpose. In the sacred silence of the records, the message is clear. The consequences of unforgiveness are profound, but not irreversible. The divine mercy is always available to those willing to turn inward, to seek forgiveness and healing. For it is through this act that the soul reclaims its divine heritage, awakens to its true Christ nature, and steps onto the path of spiritual liberation, free from the cycles of rebirth and attuned once more to the eternal harmony of the divine cosmos. In the silent depths of the records Akashic, where the echoes of every soul's journey are inscribed, in the eternal fabric of creation, there lies a sacred truth, a truth as old as the universe itself. The path to redemption is paved with the healing power of forgiveness. As I interpret the divine revelations handed down through the visions and insights of Edgar Cayce, I am drawn to the profound understanding that the soul's quest for harmony is fundamentally rooted in the act of forgiving and being forgiven. In our previous discourse, we saw how unforgiveness acts as a tether, binding the soul within cycles of karma that hinder its ascent toward divine love and Christ consciousness. The soul seeking liberation must first recognize that the very act of forgiveness is a sacred key, a divine instrument designed to unlock the prison of resentment, anger, and pain. The records reveal that no matter how profound the wounds inflicted in past incarnations, divine mercy always offers the soul a pathway back to light through genuine forgiveness. The journey toward redemption begins within the sacred chamber of the heart, that divine portal where human consciousness meets the divine spark. Here, in this sacred space, the soul must confront its wounds, acknowledge its pain, and open itself to the possibility of forgiveness. Cayce's teachings emphasize that forgiveness is not a mere act of words or superficial sentiment. It is a profound spiritual process of aligning oneself with divine love. When the soul chooses to forgive, it is not condoning the wrongs done, but rather releasing the heavy burdens of resentment that weigh upon it, thus restoring harmony within its vibrational frequency. The records reveal that forgiveness is an act of divine alignment, a conscious surrender to the higher laws of love and mercy. It is through this act that the soul begins to heal the fractures caused by unforgiveness, bridging the chasm between the human and the divine. In forgiving others, the soul clears its karma, dissolving the chains that keep it, entangled in cycles of despair and spiritual stagnation. Cayce's insights guide us to understand that forgiveness is an alchemical process, transforming suffering into compassion, darkness into light, and separation into unity. Yet the path to true forgiveness is seldom easy. It is a journey inward, requiring humility, compassion, and the willingness to see beyond the surface of human faults. Cayce's revelations reveal that the soul must first forgive itself, for often it bears the heaviest burden of guilt and shame. Only when the soul recognizes its divine origin and remembers its eternal connection to the source can it truly extend forgiveness outward, to others and itself. Here the soul awakens to the truth that all beings are expressions of the One, and that the divine love within them is an unbreakable thread binding all of creation. The divine law of karma, as recorded in the Akashic records, affirms that forgiveness breaks the cycle of cause and effect, allowing the soul to ascend beyond the limitations of past actions. Cayce's teachings underscore that forgiveness is a sacred act of self-liberation, a way to restore harmony with divine will and to realign with the Christ consciousness that resides within each soul. When the soul forgives, it not only heals its own wounds but also contributes to the collective healing of humanity, awakening the consciousness of unity and divine love. In the spiritual landscape of Atlantis, where the soul once knew profound harmony with divine truths, the lessons of forgiveness were perhaps the most sacred. The records reveal that those who mastered this divine art transcended their earthly limitations and ascended into higher realms of consciousness. Conversely, those who clung to unforgiveness remained caught in the cycles of karma, unable to fully access their divine potential. Cayce's insights teach us that the same opportunity exists now, in this present moment, to choose forgiveness as the gateway to spiritual freedom. The soul's journey is ultimately a quest to restore harmony within itself and with the divine. Forgiveness acts as the sacred bridge that reconnects the heart to the divine love that eternally seeks expression through us. When the soul embraces forgiveness, it awakens the Christ nature within, the divine consciousness that unites all of creation. This awakening dispels the shadows of resentment and pain, illuminating the path toward unity, peace, and eternal life. Let us remember that divine mercy is infinite. The records reveal that no soul is beyond redemption, for divine love is always present, waiting patiently for the soul to turn inward and embrace the healing gift of forgiveness. It is in this sacred act that the soul reclaims its divine heritage, realigns with its higher purpose, and steps onto the luminous path of spiritual evolution. As we continue our exploration of these sacred teachings, let us hold in our hearts the profound truth. The path to redemption is illuminated by the light of forgiveness. It is a divine process of healing, restoring harmony, and awakening the divine love that resides within each of us. In forgiving, we transcend the illusions of separation and realize our innate unity with all of creation, a unity rooted in divine love, Christ consciousness, and the eternal journey of the soul. May these insights serve as a sacred reminder that within each of us lies the power to heal, to forgive, and to ascend beyond earthly limitations into the eternal embrace of divine love. In the sacred silence of the soul's deepest chambers, the records Akashic whisper truths that are often veiled by the weight of human doubt and fear. As we continue this journey of awakening, we are called to remember that the divine wisdom embedded within the prohibited letters, those hidden messages once concealed, hold the keys to unlocking the true nature of our spiritual evolution. These forbidden correspondences, shrouded in mystery and fear, are not meant to be ignored or dismissed, but rather approached with reverence, courage, and a willing heart to confront the shadows of unforgiveness that linger within. The records reveal that the soul's journey is a path of perpetual rebirth, a sacred dance between the divine and the mortal, between light and shadow. The prohibited letters, often dismissed or suppressed by societal dogmas, contain within them the raw, unfiltered knowledge of our pasts, our karmic debts, and the truths that we have yet to face. To access these hidden truths is to venture into the depths of oneself, to confront the unresolved wounds and the unspoken burdens that hinder our ascent toward divine consciousness. The act of unlocking these secrets begins with an acknowledgement that within each of us resides a reservoir of wisdom, waiting patiently for recognition. The records show that when we dare to peer into the forbidden writings, we are invited to see beyond the illusions of separation and into the unity that underpins all creation. These letters, once deemed dangerous or taboo, are actually keys, portals into the collective consciousness, where the echoes of forgotten lives, unresolved conflicts, and lessons unlearned reverberate. As the spiritual seeker, you are called to understand that true enlightenment does not come from avoiding or suppressing the shadows, but from embracing them with compassion and understanding. The records emphasize that the soul seeks balance, and that forgiveness is the alchemical process that transforms pain into peace. When we open ourselves to the knowledge contained within these hidden messages, we must be willing to face the parts of ourselves that have resisted love, that have clung to resentment and unforgiveness. In the quiet of meditation or through introspective prayer, the soul can access the prohibited letters, not as sources of fear, but as sacred scripts that reveal the divine blueprint of our being. These writings, once thought to be forbidden, are in truth divine invitations to reclaim our power and to understand that the shadows we fear are but reflections of our unhealed wounds. The records assure us that every shadow is an opportunity for spiritual rebirth, a chance to shed the old layers of illusion and step into the radiant light of Christ consciousness. The process of unlocking these secrets requires the courage to confront the parts of ourselves we might prefer to hide. It is a journey into the depths of the subconscious, where repressed memories and unresolved karma reside. Within the records, it is written that the soul's ultimate purpose is to seek harmony, to harmonize the discordant notes of its past with the divine melody of love. When we approach the prohibited letters with humility and a sincere desire for growth, we are opening the door to a profound transformation. In doing so, the seeker must understand that forgiveness is the sacred key that unlocks the vault of spiritual wisdom. Forgiveness, both of oneself and of others, serves as the bridge that connects the mortal with the divine. The records reveal that true forgiveness is not a mere act of words or superficial sentiment, but a profound acknowledgement of shared divine origin. It is in forgiving that the soul releases the chains of karma, awakens its Christ consciousness, and steps into the fullness of divine love. As you delve into these hidden writings, remember that the universe conspires in your favor, guiding you toward the understanding that the prohibited letters are manifestations of divine mercy. They beckon you to confront the unresolved shadows within, to release the burdens of unforgiveness, and to embrace your divine rebirth. In this sacred act, you align yourself with the eternal truth that the soul's ultimate purpose is unity with the divine, a state of consciousness where love, forgiveness, and compassion reign supreme. The records emphasize that spiritual rebirth is not a distant hope, but a present possibility, if only we have the courage to seek the sacred truths within. These truths, once hidden in the forbidden writings, serve as catalysts for awakening, illuminating the path toward mastery of oneself and reunion with the divine source. In this sacred journey, the seeker is invited to remember that the divine is not separate from us, but exists within every cell of our being. The prohibited letters, in their sacred silence, teach us that the path to enlightenment is often concealed behind our fears and illusions. To truly access these hidden truths, we must first confront the shadows of unforgiveness that reside in the depths of our consciousness. Let us then approach the prohibited letters not as forbidden texts, but as sacred relics of divine wisdom, reminders that within each of us lies the potential for spiritual rebirth, for the awakening of our Christ consciousness. As the records teach, the soul's journey is a sacred pilgrimage from darkness into light, from separation into unity, and from ignorance into divine knowledge. May your heart be open, your mind receptive, and your soul courageous as you step into the sacred truth that the universe has long been waiting for you to discover. The truth that within the shadows lie the greatest opportunities for divine transformation. The keys are within your grasp. The prohibited letters await your courage to unlock their secrets, revealing the divine blueprint of your eternal journey. Remember, within the silent depths of the universe and the sacred chambers of your soul, the divine truth beckons you to awaken to the power of forgiveness and the divine blueprint woven into your very existence. The revelations from the Akashic records and the teachings of Cayce remind us that no matter how deeply buried or forbidden the wounds may seem, the path to liberation and Christ consciousness lies in the courageous act of forgiving ourselves and others. As you step into this sacred journey of uncovering hidden truths and releasing karmic burdens, know that the divine mercy is always present, waiting to lift you into greater harmony and divine love. I invite you to share your insights, subscribe for more sacred revelations, and share this message with others on their path. Together, we can awaken to the eternal light within and help elevate collective consciousness into the realm of divine mercy and love.